And that's when the big spiral started for me, because being in a relationship for 9 years, starting in a new country with someone who you thought would be your forever person, it really it and I had to find myself, but I didn't start a journey, this inner work journey, just yet. I went down the rabbit hole of coping in an unhealthy way, unsafe way, through smoking, drinking, and unsafe dating as a personal trainer. That felt very, very wrong at that time, but I didn't know better. I was just trying to cope and get by, looking for external validation because that's all I knew in my whole life. I never knew my own values. And then, so that was 2016 when I left him. And then the inner journey started about in 2018. And then I haven't looked back ever since. But how this trauma from peace came in, because I was just call it a conventional personal trainer, and that I started to feel that was no longer aligning how I looked at the body, how I looked at my clients, but I didn't know how to do it differently, because that's all I knew. The fitness industry at that time was like this no pain, no gain, push hard, look good, but we didn't have much of an understanding, or I didn't at least, that this can come from like taking care of our bodies through movement can be an option. It was like the how we look, what how much we lift, how much we run, because I was a runner too. Anyway, so I got into another emotionally abusive relationship because I hadn't done the work. But simultaneously, I started working with a somatic therapist, because since the inner journey started, I started to look for answers, which I feel a lot of your audience can relate to it, because we start questioning our existence, what's going on, why am I the way I am, right? And it doesn't feel good, it doesn't sit well with us. So I found this wonderful lady, and COVID happened. I could still see her, which was really beautiful in this whole during the difficult times. And then I started using her techniques in my personal training sessions, and I didn't know what I was doing. It just felt really good. And then throughout my journey, I met trauma from personal training. And that really hit home for me. Like, oh my God, I'm home. This is what I need. And at that point, I understood quite a lot about trauma, the different trauma responses, flight, fight, freeze, fawn, all those things. So I started to put the pieces together, and I was so grateful, because at some point I really wanted to leave my profession because it wasn't fulfilling for me. And so that was in 2021. And then I left my emotionally abusive partner, the last one, in 2023. Funny that we are having this conversation today, because he moved out to this date 2 years ago. So it's a special day. So thank you, ladies, for being here on my anniversary. The freedom, being having freedom in my life. So yeah, that was a really loaded answer. That's how I got here, and I work with wonderful people. I really enjoy my work now that I I was just in this constant loop of proving myself, doing things for other people, and I'm doing this for myself because it really fulfills me. And like myself having a complex relationship with movement, because I used to overtrain. I used to I used to want to look a certain way. Now it slowly, it's not like um, a quick thing, but slowly I've been working through that and making it as an internal journey, not an external. So yeah, most of my clients have a complex relationship with movement, just like myself.
I think that we all have complicated relationship with movement because we live in a world of social media, of
Mhm.
being pushed a certain narrative, a certain image, growing up with certain stereotypes through media, being grown up with, growing up with people, looking at a certain way, judging us in a certain way, embodying and kind of feeling about ourselves and about our bodies and about our image, about our physical abilities in a certain way. But I first want to say thank you so much for, sharing so openly straight away, allowing us to really understand where you're coming from in your journey and what you've been through to really be able to find this path and start reconnecting and learning. And I love that you still say that it's an ongoing process, that you don't have it all figured out. Yes, you've been on this journey for a while, you've learned, you've definitely came to very different place, but it's not like you are coming here fully finished, knowing that there's not much more, anything else that you could ever be doing. So I really appreciate, the honesty and vulnerability that you're coming into this conversation.
Thank you.
To get us started, I would love to spend a little time, if you could, explain what then the trauma-informed PT, trauma-informed support coaching means. Because some people, our listeners, maybe like myself, they've heard the term before, but they may associate it only with the superficial level of physicalities. Like for me, if you say trauma informed coaching and training, I go straight to, oh, yes, trainers and yoga teachers, they should be trauma informed, meaning ask permission before touch me and adjust my poses. That's where I first came to
Mm,
understand the term of trauma informed yoga, was when you go to yoga class and out of nowhere someone's coming to you and fixing you without you even realizing and noticing, and someone's putting hands on you. And if we realize that some people may have actually some very strong physical traumas, and out of nowhere, people touching you without permission. But I can imagine from your introduction and from your journey that there's so much more to it, that it's not just the physical aspect of may I or may I not touch you to help you get your body to the right position, to help you sort out some of those things. So could you explain to and shine a little bit of light for us and our listeners on what it really means and how you approach then the trauma informed?
Absolutely. So, by the way, I love that there are trauma-informed yoga teachers out there. It's really important when you work with bodies. We say it when you work with bodies, you work with trauma. And funny enough, I have a lot of online clients, so I wish I could touch them because we have a very special bond, but not like in a way that, in a respectful way, because I feel physical touch is very, very important when it's in the right setting and it's consensual. But so trauma informed personal training looks on the outside can look very similar to a regular training, but I put into consideration empathy and autonomy. Autonomy is a big piece that I don't force my clients into movements that they don't feel safe about. And a lot of times that looks like they say yes to the movement, but their body says no to the movement. And then I go with the body language rather than trusting what they say, because through my own journey, I would say yes all the time as a people pleaser, right? So, but the body feels otherwise. So that's one piece. And I work with people having PTSD, CPTSD, sexual abuse, people who have had issues with movement overtraining and all sort of things. So it's really hard to like categorize what kind of people I work with, but it's definitely being trauma informed means we give the autonomy to clients and give them those tools that feel empowered by movement rather than me forcing them into positions or exercises that don't feel safe for them. It's the main thing is feeling safe, because that's what, like, I'm bringing a lot of teaching from somatics, because I've been doing, like I said, I've been doing somatic therapy for 5 years. And interesting how much I started implementing just by sitting with my therapist and seeing those pieces. And it's very liberating when my clients say no to me and I'm like, yes, yes, you're saying no to me. And you know, conventional trainer might take it as an offense, that like, how dare you say no to me? And I'm like, yes, that's the work. So it's a lot deeper than just doing 2-3 sets of 12 repetitions of squats or whatever exercise we think about. But I also bring a different modality. It's called corrective exercise specialist. That's my other course that I use. So I make sure that the movement piece is taken care of as well, in a way of, I truly believe, and I've seen it through my own journey, that trauma alters your movement patterns, your body mechanics. That's why we see a lot of people with shoulders like this and having very like not upright posture, because like the trauma really manifests in the body, uh, such as tension and like I said, altered movement patterns. So I work with that too. So I correct that, but fitness really looks at it as a automatic, a quick fix. We know that that takes time, because first and foremost, I need to make sure the client feels safe in their bodies. Because if I try to yank their bodies, that's not gonna do any good.